Hello everyone, so here to answer a simple question: how to defeat Thunderbarges with Slaanesh, basically the faction that has the least amount of anti-air in the game. Honestly, we're desperately hoping for a DLC, so in the meantime, if you wish to fight Slaanesh and if you happen to find some dwarf endgame armies, well, you may have to use furies, Chaos Furies. But how many are necessary? So I've used Chaos Furies here with 9 XP. Good luck getting Chaos Furies to that 9 XP, but just to simulate a little bit some buffs that you may get during the campaign, redline skills and stuff. I wish there was a way to use that, but unless I play an entire campaign, I cannot showcase that. So, and my Herald here, the only thing that it will have is that Locus of Grace, and that is if she even reaches the point. So, of course, this is VH difficulty and all stats improved for the AI. So, you can't get even less than this. Now, I was very surprised. And yes, I can already answer 2 is all you need. I was actually surprised. I tried this with 4 initially, but I guess the nerfs to the Thunderbarge were quite effective, so only 2 Furies are required to actually take down this Thunderbarge. Now, primarily the idea here is, of course, this seldom happens. There's not going to be a Lord just leading one Thunderbarge. So, but it does hopefully give you an idea of how many Furies you would need, or how you would need to accommodate against an army with Thunderbarges. Maybe you will bring a couple of extra Furies just to be sure. Maybe you'll bring a full army of Furies along the way. Who knows? But at least it gives you a little bit of this idea. And as you can see, the Thunderbarge is taking heavy losses. I do lose 1 unit of Furies because my micro is terrible, but that's also part of the test. As in, I'm not trying to do the best possible micro. I'm just going, hey, attack this and see what happens. This is also to better explain how anyone can do this. Like everyone, likely you can go on a skirmish battle and test this yourself and see how it works. But without full XP, you kind of need 3 Chaos Furies, and 4 is kind of like better. But of course, in campaign, you'll always have some level of buffs, even if it's just a little bit of research, a little bit of redline skills, that sort of idea. Okay, and yeah, that's I still have enough to deal with the Rune Lord, which is quite nice. So instead of the Furies, the other option typically that people would use is the Marauder horsemen, but they are not armor piercing, and actually the Thunderbarge does have some armor, so I kind of needed 5 to do the trick. And yes, I'm not microing heavily, but the biggest problem with the Marauder horsemen is, well, they're on full XP as well, but you kind of need to micro them a little bit better. There is indeed, for instance, I didn't micro them to avoid hitting the Rune Lord in the first few shots, which is a problem, But I'm trying to simulate a little bit how it would go on a less microable situation. I'm literally just telling them to attack, just putting them a little bit to the side, spreading them out so that the Thunderbarge cannot attack, And there has been some damage done to my Herald as well. So all that I'm actually microing against is to avoid being under the Thunderbarge, to avoid those bombs that the Thunderbarge drops. And yeah, you don't need 5. I think you can do this with 4. I believe I tried to do this with 4, and even though I didn't do it, I reached the conclusion that I could with better micro. Okay, 3 would be pushing it, but maybe Legend will do it. But the good conclusion here is like, yeah, 2 Furies is certainly something that you can have on any army just to deal with the Thunderbarge, compared to the Marauder Horseman, which would be much more difficult to have like 5 on an army without hindering its success. So of course you can bring other units from outposts or anything like that, but yeah, this gives you a rough idea of what to use. Is it better to bring Furies or better to bring Marauder Horsemen? Well, of course, we don't have a DLC that brings yet another flyer or anti-air. Another question is, how does this escalate? You know, against 5 Thunderbarges, you know, a typical number that you can find on some of those late game, end game scenario for dwarf armies. You know, they sometimes will have 4 or 5 Thunderbarges. So how do you deal with them? I only brought 10 Furies. So the idea here is to see if the ratio remains 10 Furies versus 5 Thunderbarges, just like 2 fight 1. And I'm not even swarming 1 Thunderbarge at the time. I'm telling them just to go in and attack each group. As you've seen there, I just told 2 of each to attack 1 Thunderbarge and to see how it would work out. So overall, the big advantage, by the way, from the XP is the leadership. It just implies that your units don't start crumbling so fast, which helps because that means that they will attack for longer. So that is very much, if you have, let's say, banners of leadership, give them to the Furies in these examples, you know, that sort of idea. If you have a flying lord, or if you have a lord that can keep up, and like I've done with with this herald, which is just going as fast as she can but without any mount, well, then that leadership certainly would help. So, and you're going to see the difference, of course. But you can see that nearly all the Thunderbarges are actually halfway. I didn't micro really much. I just told them to attack. I'm going to give some leadership here. I would even get a couple of army abilities, but I'm not going to use them. And now I'm just, you know, doing a little bit of a micro, telling one unit to attack the ones retreating, you know, telling the other ones to go and attack what else is still alive. And it seems that the ratio, yes, it's like 2 fully XP Furies can defeat 1 Thunderbarge each. So that is good to know. Of course, this is a controlled environment. Typically in a Dwarven army, the biggest problem is that you're going to have tons of units shooting at you, not just the Thunderbarges. But it does give you a little bit of an idea. Do you need to bring 5 Furies per Thunderbarge? No, you don't. If you have enough units to deal with the enemy missile units, then you already know that a couple of Furies with some good buffs, maybe a spell or another on a Thunderbarge would definitely do the work. And that's precisely the point here. You know, if you're planning on doing a Slaanesh campaign before the DLC and you end up having to fight dwarves with Thunderbarges, well, now you know that likely the best option is actually to use the Furies. And Furies, they're flyers. They're always very useful. Even, for instance, if it is just in sieges, even if it is against other flyers, of course. You don't have a lot of flying options with Slaanesh, only the Furies. So, yep, that feels good to at least realize, hey, they can be a little bit of a counter. And, of course, Furies are way cheaper than those expensive Thunderbarges. So even if the AI would send armies and armies of Thunderbarges, you can definitely have armies of Furies just waiting back. With the Marauder Horsemen once more, well, even focusing firing a little bit on the Thunderbarges, I realized that I would have to bring almost the full army. I think I made it with 17. It was the least that I could, and I'm not like I'm not super focusing on microing, by the way. I'm just, you know, trying to keep them, as you see here, from getting bombs dropped, trying to get them to the fight as soon as possible. But you kind of need a full army to deal with 5 Thunderbarges, which the only thing that I didn't test was a combination of Marauder Horsemen and Furies. Likely would work well as well, but that gives you a bit of a better understanding of what would be the best unit to bring. Of course, it depends on many circumstances, but unit per unit, I would definitely bet on some Chaos Furies of Slaanesh instead of the Marauder Horsemen. Just because likely they can bring in focus down the Thunderbarges much easily than this. And of course, you also have the micro to consider. I'm having to micro considerably more with the Marauder Horsemen to take down the same number of Thunderbarges. So there you go. Of course, consider that this is just a small test. It's not exactly perfect. but that's the main idea. Furies better than horsemen of Slaanesh against the Thunderbarges? I think so. So now you know. Bye bye, guys.